Okay. Uh, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to Meticulous Talks in 2018. I am Chris, of course,
And I am solving problems.
and we hope you all had a great holiday. I know we were just talking about it before the chat. We had well, a nice break. I
Yeah.
appreciate the time off. I know I spent a fair amount of the time thinking about new decks and stuff, but, well, if you spent time enjoying your holiday with family, that's a good way to spend the holiday, too.
Yeah.
So, uh, just before we had our break, last stream actually was our big Sequestria review stream, and we never really got a chance to talk about the new format that came in, the core constructed format, which anyone who paid attention to us before knows that we had advocated for something similar for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think we'll just take this opening stream of 2018 to just excuse me, just kind of a casual discussion of what exactly core is going to mean for the game and what's the big things that are going to change about constructed. Probably, we're not oracles. We don't exactly know what's going to happen in the future, but we can make
I
certain
foresee.
educated guesses.
Yeah.
So, just for anybody who hasn't seen it over the course of the past month or so that it's been a thing, Core is essentially a rotating format. We've got the current block, which started with Sequestria and Beyond, and the Equestrian Odysseys block, legal. So basically, Premier Block is what's gone. The ban list got grandfathered in because clearly the stuff that's banned in Ozzy's block still should be banned.
Well, in core is what's the yellow friend that got banned? I forget her name.
Vapor Trail.
Is she good? If she doesn't have Twilight anymore? She could probably come off, but I feel like it's just safe to be like, yeah, no, you can't. It means we can print something like Twilight if we want.
Yeah, I think so.
It's probably the best way to look at it.
Yeah. But Bulk and Tantalus definitely still needed to be gone.
Tantalus was a good idea, and then they printed things that made it go on forever, and then it was a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah.
And Bulk, if he read non-Bulk biceps card
yep.
for the return trigger, he'd be insanely strong and ran in every pink-white deck. But he wouldn't be, well, why did you print this card? It just recurs itself and destroys everything.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, and so the format is going to incorporate all the new sets that come out in this block, and then presumably when we get another block down the line, Odysseys will rotate out, and everything just continues on like so. And so the big question, of course, is how exactly is that going to change what we see in tournaments? Presuming, of course, the core becomes like the format that people play.
The mainstay one.
Yeah. I understand since the UK was on block basically before, right?
Yes, the UK was kind of sick of Harmony from about Marks in time. So most of the people in the UK have been playing Block 2 for ages. So Core is just Block 2 plus the new set. So not a lot will be changing in the UK, really, for a lot of player bases. But a lot of people are happy that it's the kind of thing that they'll now start seeing everyone else playing and sort of being able to get competitive deck techs, etc. for. Because nobody really cared about Block 2 except for in the UK. So it was this sort of empty field where, as I've said a few times, when I went to the tourney, which ended up being Block 2 for Nationals, like the deck variety was really low because people sort of went, well, there's this orange blue is strong and aggressive, of people took orange blue, hooves in purple orange, and a few purple orange decks, and then there was one other person playing pink white control like me, but they had a bit too much of a game plan to use Minuet that could just easily be foiled by removal, which meant they sort of were less consistent than my one that was just is everything gone yet 40 times until my opponent just can't play cards. So I think just a lot of people, especially in the UK, will just be glad to see more enthusiasm and more experimentation in sort of just in the format that they'll be playing, which is also something like I'm hoping to start to see when the tournament ring starts again.
Yeah, which we have a couple of months still until sort of.
Yeah, it's still a bit away.
Yeah.
So I'm still just going to stick with me pink white and try and make that work. Because hey, I came first in a constructed tourney with it, so why fix what ain't broke?
Indeed, that's for sure. And as we were just talking, it's looked like it's getting some fine love in Sequester and Beyond as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What are they called? Bouncers, basically? Bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
When you party of one and go, cool, I have unicorns, your opponent just sort of stares and goes, no, please no.
Yeah.
Why do you have things and I don't?
And sorry to get on a bit of a tangent, but prepared has always been that sort of keyword that I think to myself, like, it's always been great if you could get like 3 or 4 of it at the same problem. But up to now, there hasn't been a card that's let you do that, really.
Yeah. Like, prepared's one of those where you don't run a card because it has it. You run a card and it's better because it also has it. Is how it feels. And so the fact that like you're playing it because when you party of one, you make a bunch of 1-power friends. Oh, by the way, they have this keyword that gives you action tokens and you're playing control. Like, sort of having that as a line of text additionally on them is just, yes, please, I'll take that.
So yeah, as you said, yeah, in core, which is essentially block 2, things do tend to look different, I guess.
Yes.
I think
in theory, unlike when I obviously did the block 2 tourney, epics or farming should kind of be able to exist because there's just enough sets with villains in. Maybe.
Yeah,
we'll have to see. They got staff. Come on, guys.
It's true. Like,
you can do it.
Farming is clearly one of the decks. One of the archetypes that loses out most from the rotation.
Yeah.
From King Sombra leaving, from all essentially the easy villains. Well, not all of them, but most of them leaving. And so, I'm sure the greatest minds of the generation are working on the problem as we speak, but it's certainly going to have to emerge in a new form, and I'm sure that farming will reemerge at some point. There are people that are just
people
really
like it too much, to not continue trying to play it.
But it's definitely going to have to fade to the background and
figure itself out.
Yeah, yeah, and the same I think is true for control decks of some sort. At least control decks of the style that we saw at the end of Harmony, or at the end of Defenders of Equestria. That is these sort of like super hard.
Okay, so
oh yes, go ahead.
Just to interrupt you, in the chat. So a block is a group of sets that have been sort of assigned by Interplay themselves to be in a group, so they're considered sort of a block of sets. So far we have 3 blocks, although technically we really only have 2, because the first 4 sets we had, which is Premiere, Canterlot Knights, Crystal Games, and Absolute Discord, was Premiere block, just named after the first set because that's the easiest thing to do half the time. And then the next 4 sets, Odysseys, oh gosh, my set names is rubbish. High Magic, Marks in Time, and Defenders of Equestria was Equestrian Odysseys block. And now we've started a new block, which I've personally nicknamed Block the Movie, because it started off with the movie set.
Yeah.
But it's called And Beyond. or something. They gave it sort of this cute nickname because it might be.
Yeah, they call it the Beyond block.
Yeah, the Beyond block. So it starts with Sequestria and Beyond. So we're probably going to get each set in this block. So the next 3 sets after this one to create another block of 4 sets to have Beyond in their name in a cute way, I would guess. And so that's just sort of what the blocks are. And it's usually because a block, like a set of blocks, will have similar theming or set design in certain ways, and will usually be at least somewhat designed to be played in limits, like so that you could draft all the sets in limited together, and it wouldn't be an absolute garbage fire.
Yeah, that's essentially the sort of methodology that most CCGs get. Obviously, Magic was people started it, and everyone just kind of.
Well, the Magic is completely like thrown out of the window now.
Oh, is that so?
It's actually kind of funny. So they went from having 3 block sets and core sets, so like in a year you'd have 4 sets, to then double sets of 2 set blocks.
Oh.
And people didn't even like that. So what they've said is, we'll bring back core sets because we've realized they're important for design, as they've made a lot of design mistakes in the last year or two in the 2 block, the 2 set block, 2 block a year structure. And so they bring back core sets, and they've literally said blocks are as big as the R&D design team wants them to be. So we could have one set where it's just like, this set is designed to be drafted alone. This set is designed to be drafted alone. This set, we decided to design to be drafted with the last set. And it's sort of just like, okay. But honestly, I think that freedom of design might be really good for the game, because Magic's been wavering a little bit in the last 2 years, unfortunately, and a lot of people have been leaving. So hopefully them doing that will sort of inject sort of R&D in the designers with a lot of freedom to do very interesting things that will grab people's attention. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, all right.
If it goes completely wrong, they'll change it in a year, and that's fine. It's one of those.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Red Fox, welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Always appreciate anybody who gets up early in the morning for us.
Well, it depends on time zone.
Yeah, unless you happen to be on the other side of the Atlantic and you are just getting ready for supper like solving it. But anyway, yeah. As I was saying, control decks of the form that we saw at the end of the Defense, which I like to call sort of eternity control decks that just are there.
Just keep cycling through everything forever.
Keep cycling forever. And that, like, there are ways to simulate f-stop in the new set, but none that are as good as f-stop himself was. So,
no.
Yeah.
Like, the closest thing I had as someone playing Pink-White was the Equestrian Odysseys event. Cleaning Up was my only recursion that I ran. But honestly, I found it to be really good. It's a 2-cost event that's at immediate, which is the important part. And you choose 2 cards in any discard piles, banish 1, return the other to its owner's hand.
Yep.
And so what I found really useful, honestly, is those times where it's just like, oh man, are you going to try and get that 1 card back? I'm just going to banish that and get party of 1. And then it's just sort of like, oh my gosh. The surgery of just sort of getting rid of a specific card was surprisingly useful a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Especially when they're running it just as a one-off, because they can search for it, say, with, I don't know, Pinky or any of the other searches that people run. And you just like sort of go, pop, now you can't ever get it ever again. And it's just like, oh no.
Very useful against like a Sweetie Belle deck that wants to recur a resource over and over as well.
Yes, and you just sort of pop it and they go, oh, crap.
Or even a reanimator kind of thing that puts its important card.
Oh, hey, I know they're going to play, I know they're going to play redeeming qualities on X next turn. I'm going to play Cleaning Up and get rid of it. But yeah, I feel like I'm still going to at least try the Cadence.
Yep.
With Traveler and the Exhaustibility, because I feel like even if it's only a one-of, just being able to do that if I need to doesn't seem like the worst idea.
Yeah, and the fact that it recurs everything, right?
Yes, anything. You just get a card is super cool, especially if for whatever reason, they say, I don't know, belly flop photo finish or something.
Yeah, or anything.
After I've say just like been like, haha, party of one, keep photo finish, and they're just like, friend, belly flop, and I'm like, oh yeah, fair enough. Because I feel like that's a thing that'll happen a
Oh,
lot.
that is definitely a thing that'll happen a lot. As Pink hasn't
Um,
like honestly,
Lost belly flop suddenly.
yeah. Aside from losing its sort of go-to main, Pink hasn't really suffered all that much in the rotation.
The thing I have is like, what is the pink control main now?
Uh, yeah,
It's just like it's just Chrissy, right? Right?
yeah. I guess, yeah.
Like
You can
that.
make it
That's
work with Chrissy.
all I've got. Because honestly, the pink white, I've always run Chrissy just because the fixing is so good. Um, but yeah, like I think that's Pink's biggest issue is it has a pretty nice aggro main in the form of Skystar, and that's kind of it. Like I guess Lyra isn't awful,
She's not
but she
terrible,
isn't
no.
spectacular either. Because like obviously like Skystar, it's sort of a one-off do a thing,
Yeah,
and for on your main is usually what you want to do.
pretty much. Yeah, it's true. I guess Chrissy probably gets a little bit better in New Block just because you've got all these mains that you're less comfortable with not flipping them because like flipping them is the whole point of their
Yeah,
existence.
she's like, but I want to pay two and do the thing. Aww.
Yeah, and especially since most Sequester and Beyond decks, at least that I've made, you just like don't put entry for your primary color because, but I'm gonna flip it on turn two. Like, why do I need that for? It was actually a important thing that I forgot about for a long time when I did Scootaloo for the adventure series a little while back. It's like, wait, I need to actually put entries for my primary color into this deck because my main's not just gonna flip on turn two.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's her. And Scootaloo is the reason why you have to run DJ, drop the bass, or whatever it's called. Dismiss an exhausted friend. Do not forget that DJ Pwn 3 Breakdown exists in Core.
Yep.
Because that card is incredibly good.
Beautiful.
Oh.
So
how much of Hot Wings, out of interest, how much of Hot Wings was block one?
Was rotated out?
Yeah.
Not much of it, I don't think.
Yeah.
It was actually a little while ago now that I think about it. Let me think here. Yeah, not very much of it. Not
Yeah. Nothing that comes to mind. Like, did it run
really
two?
Important that comes to mind?
Maybe.
No. Sorry, what?
Did it run 2 bits? Maybe. I really can't remember.
I don't think so. 2 bits has only been a Sweetie Belle card, I think.
Yeah. So I guess Hot Wings is something we'll just sort of have to
probably
deal with.
We'll see. I've seen a lot of really interesting things come out of people so far, at least. Yellow, I think, is going to work. Actually, just like last week, well, I was talking to some folks who were kind of building a deck in the same chat as me, and I heard the greatest words I've ever heard. 3 Celestias because she's an auto include.
Dun dun dun.
So yes, yeah, the right world has finally come for me.
Which Celestia? The really good rare?
Yeah, the really good rare one. That's just
fair.
Yeah. When I was building my Scootaloo deck with her, I was like, oh great, this essentially just doubles Scootaloo's ability, and then we put another one out. No, now it's triple. Now we just don't need our home at all ever. Cool. But
yeah,
another thing is when I'm working on this sort of purplish aggro deck right now, and I've realized that there's actual, and I think this is the first time, essentially, of when I've played the game that this has been true. There's actually a reason for me to want to use every other color, basically. Like I built it with purple white first, for no real particular reason, but white gives you cracking the case and it gives you a whole bunch of other tools. So I thought, okay, great, that's useful. But then I was like, well, if I go purple blue, then I get a bunch of movement tricks, which makes Spike really good. If I go purple pink, there's a lot of removal stuff that pink goes. Purple orange gives me Factory Jack, which is really awesome. Purple yellow gives me that Celestia. Have I missed one? I think that's all the colors. Yeah, and
Pink?
well, yeah. I mean, purple pink is belly flop and berry punch and orange swirl. And all those amazing cards, and it's like, yeah, there's actually a reason for me to want every color, and that's making it really hard for me to actually settle on what I want this deck to look like.
Yeah. But it's a good thing that it's like that.
That's definitely true.
And that's kind of like how I'm feeling about core now that I sort of think about it. It's not like, well, if you're running control, you clearly need to be running white so that you can run f-stop and use all your events forever. And you want DJ or whatever. It's like, well, you're running control. All right, what do you want to be the way you control? And obviously, me being myself, I gravitated to Party One as soon as it was printed. So of course, I'm kind of forced to run pink white. But you've definitely got orange, purples, Doctor Who's, and all sorts of other things to sort of just keep, to keep yourself in a control lock of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of what I'm looking forward to seeing, is just like when it's like, oh wow, aggro won, and it turns out the aggro deck that won is orange green, like orange yellow, and it's like, what?
Yep.
Okay. And like, I just want to see these odd color combinations finally come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And just be like, yes, cool.
Yeah, there's a lot that was kind of, in essence, being kept down that had a lot of value to it. Like orange yellow is, yeah, that's actually a fine example of. It's true. It's a color that basically doesn't exist or didn't exist in the meta. But there's always been a lot of value there. There's always been a lot of cards there that every so often I'm browsing through Ponyhead and I look at that orange yellow card and like, surely there's a deck around that. That card looks really good. And well, there wasn't, but definitely possible for there to be now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm waiting for the first tourney, and then I'm hoping that we just get massively surprised by like the top 8 decks, where 4 of them are just like, what even is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be really excellent for the game in general, just to have some more variety and to have suddenly everything's different. That's what,
because one of the people's biggest issues is, since like what Absolute Discord came out, you can't go to a tourney and not end up playing against farming at least twice or so, and things like that. So where it's like, farming, and then you don't see it for the rest of the tourney, people will be like, oh, all right. It's a deck I need to be ready for, but I don't have to expect to play it 12 times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
And things like that. And so, yeah, like the biggest thing that makes a game like this boring is when all you do is the same thing every time. When you go to a tournament, you're like, all I have to expect is this, this, and this. And all I have to do is prepare for those, and then you do that, and it's like, okay, cool. I just read a script.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to feel like I'm just reading a script when I'm trying to play an interesting interactive game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so hopefully core is going to, as we've just said, bring loads of variety in. And when you go to a big tournament, you'll be like, okay, I need to be prepared for like these 10 good decks that are all pretty good against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah, and it emphasizes as well, like understanding sort of the principles of the game. So it's, rather than because you can't counter, well, like maybe your deck counters one of the big decks, but you don't you don't especially know what exactly you're going to be facing. There's there's an advantage given to the people who really understand their decks well and just can kind of improvise against any of the various matchups they end up with.
Yeah. Mm.
So, as we kind of mentioned with Orange or Orangella being an example, there have been certain mains and certain archetypes that sort of have been under the radar for a little while, and that hopefully can break through now that we've removed some of their impediments. And one of them that sort of sprung to mind right away was Octavia, actually, White Octavia from Equestrian Odysseys. She kind of struggled with troublemakers generally, and
It's because everything's so temporary.
yeah,
But obviously, cracking the case, throw 3 in right away. Because that is what one of my friends ran in the block tourney was Blue-White Octavia.
yeah.
Making use of Spitfire. What's that event that makes 7 Pegasi?
Close air support.
Yeah, close air support, and just sort of making it so that once you start and once you have your requirement, you just sort of double confront every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Now the issue is when you party of one and they have no blue in hand, that deck just kind of lost.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do a lot against stuff like mine. And the unfortunate thing is, they came 9th when it was a top 8 cut, and I felt so bad for them.
Always a shame, but someone has to. Come in 9th.
Yeah, someone has to come in 9th. But yeah, so I feel like that could get a bit of sort of expanding on, and maybe switch to a different color. Who knows? Heck, I think it'd be really interesting to see a version that's pink-white and makes use of Bodyguard. Because if you belly flop and then get 2 unicorns that are basically aloes, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Like, you cannot complain about it moves like that.
Yeah, I feel like, well, that's the card that's been certainly on my radar, at least most of all lately, just because of just because of what I've been seeing and such. But yeah, whether that goes into a primarily white strategy with Octavia or a primarily pink strategy.
One sec.
Sorry?
Doorbell.
Fair enough, yeah.
Doorbell. I need to get the door.
Yeah. Solving is currently kind of maintaining the order of his house right now, and has to see to the front door when someone else gets there. But yeah, Octavia is one of those mains who I think can shine a little bit better. Now that the big hard control decks are gone. Yes. Thank you, Bugle, for telling it. Yeah, it's.
All right, team. I am back.
Bugle in the chat has just related how sometimes you make lots of unicorns.
Sometimes. Yes. I mean, it is what it's designed to do.
Yeah. And so certainly, like, pink got a pretty good main, the Skystar, and got a pretty good card, as we just discussed, and was strong before, as pretty much everyone knows. So it's kind of strange that, like, almost the 2 biggest stories, I think, a little bit of prognostication here, of Core will be that Pink lost its best main, but also became really awesome.
Yeah. It'd be kind of odd if that is how it lies.
Mm-hmm.
But here's an interesting question. What's a 2-color combination that you've never really seen before, but you want to be good? And it can't be Orangella because you already mentioned it.
So, after our OCR stream, I remember you asked it at some point during the stream if Yellow White had ever been good, and I said no, but I was wrong. back in like Carolina Nights, I think, or even Premiere. I don't remember when. Yellow White had its day, and I'd like to see it come back. There's some pretty good cards in it that can work. Carolina Nights, yes, thank you. Like for example, well, we talked a little bit about Crit Acquirer during our stream, and yellow has always been sort of a color close to my heart. And I really like white too, so yeah, I'd like to see it happen.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I do like yellow white. It's good. Well, it's not great, but
it's I'm still not entirely certain like what yellow white wants to be, and whether it's I guess it's pretty relatively clear that it's going to be an aggro deck. I suppose that's fair. You can't really do real control, but the thing is that like yellow white has the point guard in like Kratos, right?
Yeah.
And so and that's the card that like makes me kind of say, well, maybe I want to do kind of more of a mid-rangey control-y kind of thing. But I'm not entirely clear on what that would look like yet. Because that card
They're the
seems
same thing, Bugle. Stop being pedantic, I think the word is. I'm not sure.
pedantic, yeah. Well, yeah, the only difference is what like which mains you're counting basically. Generally, yeah, a yellow white deck would simply mean you're running a yellow main and white yellow, yeah, and
Then what? How would you put a deck that runs Christie as the main to help with both colors?
ooh,
Meld the two color names together, or what?
well, I like you have generally you have a color that you name off the start pretty much regardless.
Well, to be fair, with my pink white, it depends on what's in my hand, like every time.
Right.
Christie's an exception.
I suppose you could call it like Yite or Wello if you wanted to. But yeah. Oh, okay, I suppose that's a fair point. I'll put it that way.
My mom meant for the sake of the question, it didn't matter. It was just color combination that you want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess one thing that yellow white is missing, I suppose, now that I think about it, is that like, well, a good main basically. I mean, we've got Octavia, say for example, she's fine. Octavia Yellow is probably something, but besides that, yellow and white are both sort of missing a standout main who can really show the deck, right? Yellow's got Novo and Sequester and Beyond, but Novo plays it kind of, she pulls the deck in a really particular way that I don't think anyone's quite figured out yet, or at least none that I've seen. White has kind of famously been lacking in a really strong main, sort of culminating in this set. Well,
okay.
Sorry?
They're all just kind of okay.
Yeah. Yeah. This set's refrain of like, Capper's probably not bad, but he's still the best white main right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So how about you?
Can you guess?
Well, from the sounds of things, pink white isn't like it's not that it's not present right now. It is present right now because you're playing it.
Yes. So, what do you think? It's one I've talked about in other streams before. So I'm wondering if you can remember.
Other streams was like a month ago. Let me think for a second here. Does it involve orange?
Nah. It is the first deck I personally built myself. Was pink yellow aggro, and I want pink yellow to come back.
Ah, okay.
So it was kind of good, and then it wasn't. And then it got dual color cards, and it still wasn't really that great.
No, it wasn't.
So I would like it to be real good, just because I'm like that.
Yeah.
And I also just want Thorax to be good. I would love for Thorax to be good in core. That'd be great. Thorax is a cool card.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's well, we talked about it a lot when Defenders came out, but Thorax really pulls yellow in a completely different direction from what it's generally used to, and it hasn't materialized yet. But boy, that will be something when it does happen, if it does happen, I suppose I should say.
Yeah. It's cards like Party of One, and I guess the new one backed into a corner or whatever it was called,
Corner,
which just sort of goes, you go down to X amount of friends that'll always hold it back. Because when you go from having a Thorax that's got like 23 power to 6, it's kind of underwhelming. Or 3.
Oh, well, 9, because let's face it, he's got a staff on him.
Yeah, like I feel like that's going to really sort of hurt the chances of Thorax being able to be a thing. But I feel like I'm going to try and make him work in core. I think Thorax and Pink White Control are going to be my two sort of main core attempts once I sort of get back into playing the game properly, which I don't know when that'll be.
Yeah, I understand your situation with regards to that, but yeah, I've certainly seen some encouraging signs from Pink Yellow. They've got Skystar and Pinky, say for example. No, Skystar and Fluttershy. Wait, no, Skystar and Pinky. That's the name of the card, right? The pink yellow multicolor one. It's Skystar and Pinky.
I am not. It probably is.
I think so.
I will.
Yeah, which is weird actually, because those are both pink characters. Why does that card have any yellow on it? Now that I think about it. Anyway, card's good. It's the immediate speed bounce effect that I feel like yellow kind of wanted. Yeah. That's the one. Which, I mean, it had to co-opt with pink to get it, but still, good card. Good card.
Yeah.
And notwithstanding, we were talking about earlier, pink was always good. It got better. It's got good stuff still. Such an amazing color. But at the same time, I think just the community of people that I've been paying attention to, I haven't really seen much of anything out of blue, but I expect blue is going to still be great.
I mean, is there a reason for it to be bad? I thought all of blue's best tools were basically in block 2 anyway.
Pretty much, yeah. And having experimented with it just this past week, it seems like it's not going to go anywhere really.
So, do we have any idea if Scootaloo or Bloona's going to be better for it?
It's really hard. Like Scootaloo's still amazing, and Luna's still amazing. Obviously, between those two, it kind of depends on what sort of what the field kind of looks like. Like Luna's better in a field where there are wall kind of control decks, right? Where there are control decks who try to establish these locks, and so Luna is best able to kind of take advantage of a momentary weakness, right? Of playing out that dilemma, and then suddenly, boom, 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 you've got all your points, and then the control player tries to do something else, and then boom, 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 you're gone. Whereas Scootaloo is better at the sort of more mid-rangey games where you just get your power over time. You build up your advantage somewhat more slowly, but she's super efficient when she's not trying to deal with troublemakers and stuff.
Yeah. She just sort of takes the extra turn that you don't have to take them out,
Basically, yeah.
basically.
So yeah, it really depends on what all the other colors do, in essence. And as I was saying, I think purple always finds a way, I think, to be controlling. But
especially when you get the new Twilight entry friend.
yes.
Like, oh my god. And Spike.
Yep.
And that 3-cost event that moves 2 things. Like you get it got all these really nice tools.
Burning bridges, yes.
I think the one that's confused, like I'm going to be the most sort of interested in, is what people do with orange. Because obviously we've had for ages that orange is the farming color and it farms, and I'm like, so we're going to see people do other things with it? Because I know that there was that weird mono orange control deck or something last tournament circuit. I vaguely remember it.
So there was chaos control in orange a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it was too long ago, but I don't really remember a mono orange pure control deck.
Or was it mid range? I can't quite remember. But I remember this being this weird mono orange deck, and I'm wondering if, like, you know.
Oh, that deck, right? Yes, now I remember that deck. Yeah, we're talking about Orange Luna.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now I remember that.
That thing. I hardly remembered it. I just remember there was a mono orange that wasn't farming, and I was like, oh, magical. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, what people are going to do if they don't do farming with orange as a sort of as your forefront color rather than a secondary, because orange has been quite a good secondary color for a few other colors for a while now. Yep. But I'm kind of interested to see if people have got much to do with it as its main color.
Yeah, it's going to be weird to say. Orange is definitely looking for a new direction. Not that, again, people aren't going to try for farming again, but there's an opening for people to experiment. And once again, yeah, it has that control edge. Obviously, Orange Luna isn't in core anymore. Not that she was ever, but yeah. The color has some aggro sensibilities always. With it's always sort of been the big friend color. But yeah, and it's
bring an apple bloom aggro, guys. Come on, you can do
it. No, suffice it to say, apple bloom hasn't gotten much better.
No.
Yeah, but
it's not great.
No, not at all. I did try a little while ago, just like stack all of these exhaust stuff effects in the same deck, and came to it like the deck's like 3/4 finished. I look at it, it's like, this just looks terrible, and switched it all out.
Yeah, it's kind of the unfortunate truth of trying to build around Apple Bloom. It's cute, and it might be very fun, but it's not very good. Let's see. Is there any colors we haven't really discussed properly?
Well, we haven't really talked in too much depth about purple. It's kind of
no, we just sort of said it'll exist because it's purple.
Yeah, yeah. As I say, purple finds the way to do control. Generally speaking, the content. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, to be fair, it feels like it's got enough for sort of a strictly tempo aggro type strategy with all these sort of friends that inherently move stuff away.
Yep.
It feels like you could play quite aggressively just with sort of efficient friends and just keep your opponent off problems. How good that'll be, I'm not sure. But I feel like it's something people could test. I think could be very fun if it's not just incredible. Like, if it's not just tier 1 amazing, it could just be fun anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Try out.
The purple sort of aggro-ish deck that I've been working on, has to some extent, and perhaps this is just me, perhaps this is the way the color works. But my opponents have criticized me for playing control anyway, which it's true to some extent that purple aggro, at least up to now, is purple control with Moondancer in it. Basically.
Yeah, okay.
But
Yes.
Spike, especially, we keep talking about him, is certainly a card. Spike and actually Twilight and Spike, the purple blue one, possibly. Yeah, those are definitely cards that could herald this new style of purple tempo, purple aggro.
Yeah.
Haven't experimented too seriously with it yet, but I'm gonna give it a crack. As I was saying, purple, all the colors, and basically see how they work out.
Yeah.
But besides that, while it's true that purple lost a lot of good control troublemakers as well with the set rotation. As I keep saying, purple always finds some way. Someone
And
finds
it's
a
not
way.
like we're lacking good troublemakers.
Oh no, of
Like
course not.
Bonus Zero has given us a slew of really good non-epic troublemakers that Purple could probably make use of, and things like that. And the fact that we still have stuff like Sneak Attack is top notch.
And not just Bonus Zero. Changing Mimics is still in the game. Don't ever forget about that.
Oof, yes, very good card.
Yeah. So yeah, farming control. Yeah, got to pretty much everything that I wanted to
we've
mention.
talked about almost everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Go on. Top 3 colors to end.
Top 3 colors.
Going from third, second, first.
Third, second, first. Okay. Did you want me to start?
Go on. We'll go third, second, first, or something. Why not?
Okay. I would say I'm going to put yellow in third. Just because the color, and I suppose we're talking about like both primary and secondary viability.
Just getting used in general.
Just getting used in general. Yeah, the color got a lot of excellent stuff. It's gonna find its way in. It's not gonna be, I don't think, a primary color, but there's definitely enough tools in it now that it's gonna see play for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put purple in third.
Okay.
As it feels like it could be a good secondary color. It could be a good primary color, but I'm still not 100% sure, so I wouldn't put it higher, sort of thing.
Yep. All right. Number two. It's not. Actually, yeah, I've got a problem now because I was gonna. Yeah, let's put purple in number 2. I think, honestly, I think there's definitely going to be decks that like it for Tempest Shadow. I've always been a big proponent of Tempest Shadow ever since we first saw her, basically. And yeah, I think she's got the potential to take the color to good places.
Yeah. For me, second is going to have to be yellow because it feels like the secondary color to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's sort of recently been equipped with all these really nice sort of, if I'm your secondary color, you get this bonus type cards, and obviously there's Celestia that's very good. And I just kind of feel like yellow could sort of start making its way as the secondary color for a lot of decks myself.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, that's essentially what I said. Yeah. It's that there's suddenly a lot too yellow, and especially now that with the set rotation, okay, so this meta looks to be one with a lot of powerful resources. I've had the pleasure, perhaps, of not playing against a Desert Road deck yet, but I know they're going to happen. And so with some colors now really, really being short on resource removal, yellow does look a lot more, what would the word be? Enticing nowadays. There's definitely one big stroke up for it.
Because you've suddenly lost. You've lost. What is it? Thingy's flower.
Seabreeze's flower, yes.
Yes. Suddenly, flower's gone, and so not everything can deal with resources. So we're stuck with blue, orange, and yellow.
Well,
And I guess white can with that
yes.
immediate event that you discard 2 cards. Not immediate. The main phase event that you discard 2 cards and pay 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But
White
that doesn't feel that efficient.
White can technically do it, but not really.
Not really. You're not really going to be playing that card, is the honest answer.
Oh, it's true. Purple has special beam cannon and rest in
Oh,
pieces
of
as well.
Oh, poor Pink.
No, not poor Pink. If Pink had resource removal, there'd be like no reason to play anything else.
Yeah. So what's your number 1 then?
Pink, based on what I said just before.
Yeah.
I
can't really justify saying any other color.
Yeah, I think it's pink. As I say, it had a lot going for it before, and it still has a lot going for it, and it's got a lot of, well, maybe not a lot of great new cards, but it's got some really great new cards. So, yeah.
It just seems good, and I feel like personally, a lot of people are probably experimenting with it now because it has just got so many good cards.
Yeah, and by the same token, like people used to complain. Well, only just a little while ago, everyone was clamoring for F-Stop to get banned, right? And like the oppressive decks of old would have some cards, and then people were like, "Oh, gee, that card is just way too good." And geez, whatever, right? And perhaps Pink just hasn't been at the top long enough for that to develop yet. But I'm not sure if I see that happening, where everyone says like, "Oh God, Belly Flop's just terrible. That card should never have existed," or whatever. I don't know. I think Pink has gotten to where it is by a nice sort of amalgamation of cards which are good but not great. Great but not ridiculous is perhaps a better way to say it.
The thing is, I think Pink, it's not got broken cards, it's got consistently good value.
Yeah.
Is probably the way to put it.
That's a good way to say it, yeah. Well, all right.
So
that probably takes us to the end of pretty much anything we want to talk about. Of course, if anyone in the chat's got a point of discussion that you'd like to bring up or a question you'd like to ask, we'd be pleased to see it or to discuss it. But other than that, that would take us to the end of our stream for today. What with there's still plenty to talk about with regards to core, and I think the biggest one was back in November. Really, we finished up our tier list of the mains for Harmony, and we perhaps ought to give that a try again. So I
do a core one.
Yeah. So that's what we'll be doing for our next stream, January 21st, as you see it up there. Yeah. So did you have anything else you wanted to say, something?
No, nothing I can think of.
Okay. So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you in a fortnight.
See ya. Hey, you're starting to use it, right?
Yeah, and actually, one thing that I've noticed is quite nice. As I kind of listen to myself, I still sound like a Canadian. Something that people told me about, and perhaps you noticed it, Solving. During the OCR stream, I started essentially picking up your accent over the course of the whole stream.
I did not notice that.
Okay.
That sounds crazy.
No, if you go back and watch the VOD, it's really embarrassing for me. I just sound, I don't know, got this fake British thing going on for like the last 2 or 3 hours, and but I think I still sound like me right now, so that's good. Anyway, hope you all have a great couple weeks, and see you soon.
See ya.